Welcome to Incredible Mysteries channel. Hello viewers, to a crime that redefined criminal audacity. A meticulously planned operation that snatched a fortune from the very tracks of British certainty, leaving behind a trail of audacious escapees and a vast sum of money that vanished as if swallowed by the earth. Tonight, we derail the official narrative and chase the elusive truth behind the Great Train Robbery 1963, Britain's heist of the century, and the unrecovered millions. Part 1, The Midnight Express and its golden payload. The year is 1963. Britain, still rebuilding from war, was entering an era of newfound optimism. But beneath the surface of quaint villages and bustling cities, a different kind of ambition was brewing in the criminal underworld. Their target, a seemingly unassailable fortress on wheels. The Royal Mail's Glasgow to London Night Express. Every evening, this train carried an enormous volume of mail, but once a week, it also transported something far more precious: vast sums of cash, worn bank notes, and registered parcels destined for London banks. This was not just mail, it was money, millions of pounds, often from regional banks, being sent for destruction or redistribution. This train was a legend among thieves, a whispered opportunity that few dared to consider. Its movements were routine, its security considered impenetrable. But for a meticulous gang of career criminals, led by the charismatic Bruce Reynolds, the impossibility was merely a challenge. They saw not a train, but a moving gold mine. And they had a plan to stop it dead in its tracks. Part 2, The Masterminds and the Audacious Plan. Bruce Reynolds, a sharp, ambitious thief with an eye for the grand score, had assembled an unlikely team. It wasn't just a handful of toughs. It was a carefully curated collective of roughly 15 men, each with a specific skill: safecrackers, drivers, railway experts, and muscle. Names like Ronnie Biggs, Buster Edwards, Charlie Wilson, Roy James would soon become infamous. Their intelligence was astonishingly precise. They knew the train's schedule, its composition, and crucially, the exact carriage containing the high-value cash. They also knew a critical flaw: a remote stretch of track at Bridego Bridge in Buckinghamshire, far from any town or police presence. Their plan was audacious in its simplicity, yet brilliant in its execution. They would tamper with a railway signal. A crucial green light would be changed to red, forcing the train to stop. Once halted, they would uncouple the engine and the high-value carriages, drive them a mile down the track to a secluded bridge, unload the sacks of money into waiting vehicles, and vanish into the night. It was a strategy born of meticulous observation, cunning, and raw nerve. Part 3, The Heist, a night of terror and triumph. In the early hours of August 8, 1963, just after 3 a.m., the plan was set in motion. The Royal Mail train, oblivious, thundered towards its fate. As it approached the signal at Sears Crossing, the driver, Jack Mills, saw the red light and brought the train to a halt. The gang, disguised in balaclavas, stormed the train. Their methods were brutal. Train driver Jack Mills was violently coshed over the head with an iron bar, suffering injuries that would plague him for the rest of his life. His assistant, David Whitby, was also restrained. The gang then uncoupled the carriages, leaving the mail sorters locked inside. The engine and two valuable carriages were driven slowly to Bridego Bridge, where the final, grueling part of the heist began. Sacks filled with millions in banknotes, to 120 of them, were thrown from the train, forming a mound by the tracks. The gang worked feverishly, forming a human chain to load the heavy bags into two waiting Land Rovers and a 3-ton truck. The adrenaline, the weight of the loot, the fear of discovery, it all combined into a frantic, high-stakes ballet of criminality. Within roughly 30 minutes, they were done. The train was emptied, the fortune was theirs. Part 4, The Farmhouse, The Fugitives, and the Furious Hunt. The gang retreated to Leatherslade Farm, a secluded hideout they'd purchased specifically for the robbery. Here, in the early morning light, the spoils were divided. Piles of cash, each man's share amounting to over £150,000, a princely sum in 1963, they celebrated, oblivious to the storm about to break. The alarm was raised swiftly. police descended on the scene of the abandoned train. The scale of the crime sent shockwaves across Britain and the world. Detective Chief Superintendent Jack Slipper of Scotland Yard led a furious, relentless manhunt. He called it the biggest search for criminals in history. The gang's meticulous planning had a critical flaw: human error and haste. They stayed too long at Leatherslade Farm. Local police, investigating a tip about suspicious activity, stumbled upon the abandoned farmhouse just days after the robbery. Inside, they found crucial evidence: fingerprints, used counting forms, sleeping bags, and even the partially burned getaway truck. It was enough for Scotland Yard to start identifying the culprits. The arrests began within weeks. One by one, the gang members were rounded up. Bruce Reynolds, Ronnie Biggs, Buster Edwards, and others became household names, their faces plastered across newspapers as fugitives and infamous criminals. Many were eventually caught, tried, and sentenced to exceptionally long prison terms. But even as the cells filled, a significant portion of the loot remained unaccounted for. Part 5: The Unrecovered Millions and the Enduring Conspiracy of the £2.6 million stolen. Roughly £1.2 million was never recovered. That's over £25 million in today's money. Where did it go? This question has fueled decades of speculation, treasure hunts, and conspiracy theories. The leading theory points to an inside man. How else could the gang have known about the inflated cash load and the train's precise schedule? Rumors swirled around a railway employee who allegedly provided critical intelligence, but this figure was never definitively identified or prosecuted. Was he a phantom, or simply too well protected? Then there are the whispers of police corruption. With such a massive sum of unrecovered cash, it's almost inevitable that theories of illicit dealings would emerge. Did rogue elements within the police force or their underworld contacts help some of the loot vanish into a different set of pockets? Some accounts suggest certain individuals were given tip-offs or allowed to slip away, enabling them to hide their share more effectively. And what about the uncaptured members of the original gang? Some were never identified or brought to justice. Did they disappear with substantial portions of the fortune? The fate of the remaining money is shrouded in a tantalizing mix of legend and alleged secrecy. Stories of buried cash in remote areas, forgotten bank accounts in offshore havens, or even simply being spent on lavish lifestyles that were too quickly concealed. The Great Train Robbery left an indelible mark on British history, becoming a blueprint for future heists and a grim fascination for the public. But its greatest mystery isn't how it happened, or even who did it. Most of them were caught. The true enigma lies in the vast, unrecovered fortune. A silent, buried treasure, waiting to be found, or perhaps destined to remain forever hidden in the shadows of this audacious crime. What do you believe happened to the missing millions from the Great Train Robbery? Are they still out there, buried somewhere, or did they simply disappear into the hands of those who got away clean? Share your theories in the comments below. And if you're as fascinated by hidden historical truths and unsolved enigmas as we are, be sure to like this video and subscribe to Incredible Mysteries for more journeys into the shadows of the past.